Hi, my name is Lindsay Lackey, and I am the author of All the Impossible Things. So I would like to read for you the first chapter of All the Impossible Things. Right before the first chapter, there is a journal entry. It looks like this. Throughout the book, my main character keeps a journal of things that she thinks seem impossible, but aren't. And so the book starts with one of those journal entries. Bumblebees are impossible. They break the rules of physics. Their tiny wings should not be able to carry their fat little bodies through the air. But the truth is, a bumblebee's wings work differently than people realize. For a long time, everyone thought their wings flapped up and down like a bird's, but they don't. Their wings actually flap forward and back really, really fast. So fast that a bumblebee creates its very own tornado. And that tornado picks up the bumblebee and carries it from one place to the next. Which, if you think about it, doesn't seem impossible at all. Chapter 1. The wind came from her mother. Some moms pass along their freckles or their laugh or their flat feet. Red's mother shared air currents and chaos, clouds that twisted between earth and sky like a wet rag being wrung out. But Red kept her wind under her skin. She had to. The more she swallowed down her own storms, however, the angrier the sky above her became. Though the day had started out clear and crisp, the sky was now dark with rain clouds that churned above the quiet Denver neighborhood. One minute, leaves were crunching under the feet of school children. Jack-o'-lanterns smiled from porch steps, their faces so freshly carved that their skin was not yet spongy or speckled with mold. The next minute, the air hissed and whistled, and every leaf was sucked up, 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 twirling and spinning. Carved pumpkins rolled and bounced and shattered, their pulpy flesh smearing like paint against the sidewalks. In a small living room that smelled of air freshener and dirty socks, Red stood, her thoughts as deep and dark and full of holes as the pockets of her coat. She did not look at the swollen-faced woman who constantly referred to herself as the mom. The mom said, "It's not easy being the mom to 3 boys, you know." To 3 boys, but not to Red. The mom looked at Red, then at her own hands. Her fingernails were a bright slash of yellow. Red's hair tickled her cheeks like tears, but her eyes were dry. Outside, the storm swelled as Red held her breath. No, no, no. The mom glanced out the window toward the thrashing trees. Her eyes darted back to Red, then to Ms. Anders, Red's social worker. It just isn't a good time to bring a foster child into the family. Red released her breath a little, then pressed her trembling lips together. The wind howled and the mom flinched. Ms. Anders put a hand on Red's shoulder. "Of course," she said. Her voice was as taut and charged as an electric wire. "All set, Red?" Red nodded. Her belongings fit into an orange backpack that, thanks to the mom's 3 boys, smelled like peanut butter and dog vomit. Still, a smelly backpack was better than the plastic bag she used to carry. "We are so sorry about this, like I said before." The mom's eyes were a little too close together, making her whole face look pinched. "It's the mom's responsibility to protect her children. Sometimes things just aren't a good fit." A familiar ache started between Red's ribs, but then anger, sharp and slick, snaked through her, burying the hurt. Across the room, the pages of an open magazine lifted, flapped, and fluttered. Red clenched her fists in her pockets. No, no, no. She couldn't let her wind out, no matter how much it boiled beneath her skin. A crash of thunder split the air, and the mom yelped. Ms. Anders pursed her black cherry lips, her fingers tightening on Red's shoulder ever so slightly. "Come on, Red." Red hiked up her backpack and stepped from the house without looking back. Her caseworker let the screen door slam as she exited. She didn't acknowledge the gray-green clouds that had bruised the clear blue of the morning sky. Ms. Anders yanked open the rear door of her sedan. The fabric of her skirt was a snapping flag around her knees. Red climbed into the familiar car. As always, there was a package of peach gummy candy on the seat for her. Affection for her caseworker flickered in her stomach. The mom opened the screen door, leaned out. "We really did try." Red hugged her knees to her chest, tucking the candy into her coat. Fat, angry raindrops left dark spots on Ms. Anders' gray blazer as she ran around to the driver's side. She shook her short, tightly curled hair, and Red could smell the powdery hair product under the sharp, cold scent of the wind. Ms. Anders pulled out of the driveway and leaned forward to look up through the windshield. The wipers moved frantically against the glass. She clucked her tongue. Red pushed away a clump of hair that was stuck to her damp forehead. Her storm still thrummed in her bones, whirled between her ribs and toes and ears, as familiar as her own breath. It wanted out, wanted to join the angry sky. She couldn't let it. "This weather," Ms. Anders said, "someone's gonna get hurt." She shook her head at the shame of it. Red wanted to say, "Someone's already been hurt." Instead, she said nothing. She just leaned her head against the window and watched the sky have its say. I got the idea for All the Impossible Things about 10 years ago when my aunt and uncle, who had grown children, they even had grandchildren, they were empty nesters, and they decided they wanted to become foster parents. And one day my aunt was at a foster care event, and even though she was fostering another child at the time, she said she saw a little girl across the room, and she just instantly knew that that little girl was going to be her daughter one day. And sure enough, through a series of events, my aunt and uncle did end up fostering and then adopting that little girl. I wanted to write a story that explored how sometimes family comes from surprising places. I wanted to honor the foster care system and the many, many people who are doing amazing work in foster care and are really changing the lives of children. That was 10 years ago, like I said. I didn't start writing this book until about 5 years ago. So in 2015, I finally allowed myself to start writing this book. I'd had the idea for about 5 years at that point, and I just hadn't let myself write it yet, because sometimes it's a little bit scary to start writing something that you know deep down is really special. Sometimes you feel like maybe you're not good enough or you don't have enough talent. That was really part of what I was afraid of. I was afraid that I would start the story and I wouldn't finish it, and I really wanted to do it justice. So it took me a long time to give myself permission and to really have the courage to write this story. I started writing in 2015, and then I started sending it to agents in 2017. So it took me about 2 years to write it. And at the very end of 2017, I started sending it out to agents, and I got an agent in February of 2018. And then she in turn sold this manuscript to my publisher within a couple of weeks of me signing with her, which was really amazing. So then it took about 18 months for the book to come out. It came out in September of 2019. So publishing takes a long time. I love it. I think the story is everything that I wanted it to be. I worked really hard on it, and I made a lot of changes over those 5 years between getting the idea and it coming out. I am just really proud of this book, and I love the cover too. I think it's just really beautiful. Thank you so much, and have a great day.